Hello, this is the Exponential Growth Workshop, virtual workshop. As you follow along with this video, you should have a hard copy of this ink packet that you see on your screen, so you can follow along and fill out your notes as I walk you through them. So remember, exponential growth or exponential decay is when the rate is becoming more rapid in proportion to the growing total number or size. So as x increases, y is either decreasing rapidly in proportion or it's increasing rapidly. Let me give you an example of exponential growth. Imagine, and then you can also write this on your packet. Imagine you have $5 in the bank, and then you double. So then the next week you would have $10. And imagine you double your amount in the bank every week. So we go from 5 to 10 to 20 to 40 to 80 and so on and so forth. Or another example is you start off with $2 and then you triple your amount. So you go from 2 to 6. 6 times 3 gives you 18 and so on and so forth. And you can see that the distance between each number gets farther and farther apart, which is why it increases so much. It just explodes at the end. And let me give you an example of something that's not exponential. In fact, I'm going to give you an example of something that is linear. So if you have, let's say, $5 to begin with in the bank, and you end up getting $2 every week, so that would be 5, then 7, and then you get $9, $11, $13, and so on. Another example of growth, and I could also do decay. Another example of growth would be like 4, and then 6, and then 9, and then 100. Obviously, those numbers are getting larger, but there's no pattern, so you can't say it's exponential or linear. So what I would like you to do is pause this video, take 2 minutes, and fill out questions 1 through 8. This is a good check for your understanding. Just identify, is each situation exponential or is it not exponential? Or you could say if it's linear, if you think it's linear. So go ahead and pause now. Okay, you should be replaying this or starting, you should unpause me, and I'm going to go ahead and go over the answers now. Number 1, a bodybuilder tries to put on 2 pounds each week. Well, that's plus 2, plus 2, plus 2. That's an arithmetic sequence. And when you have an arithmetic sequence and you're going up or down at a constant rate, you're going to get that nice line. So it's actually linear. Number 2, a savings account earns 3% interest each year. So let's say you have $100, and then the next year you have 3% additional dollars. So 3% of 100 would be $3. So the next year you have $103. And then you take another 3% of that and you add it on. And basically you're going to be moving along in a rapid rate. You're going to be growing exponentially. And if you want to take a calculator and just check that, if you want to check that and see that you go from like 100 to 103, and then again you multiply that number by 1.03, get your product, multiply that number by 1.03, get your product, you'll see that the numbers get farther and farther apart from each other. Okay, number 3 is exponential. Oh no, the lights are off. Hold on, let me go turn those on. Okay, number 3 is exponential. Number 4, a colony of bacteria doubles in size every 6 hours. So if you're doubling, that's geometric because it's times 2 times 2 times 2. That's exponential. Number 5 is exponential, not growth this time like number 3, but it's actually exponential decay. Whitney adds 50 gallons of water to her swimming pool each hour. That would be plus 50, plus 50, plus 50. So that is going to be linear. Number 7 is also linear. And number 8 is a trick question because you know you start with 350 and then you go to 380, but you don't know what the third number is. So you don't know if you're growing by adding a certain number. Like you don't know if you're adding 30 to get from the first number to the second, or you could be multiplying by a growth factor. So we don't know. We need a third number to know what the pattern is. So I'm going to say not enough information. All right, let's go down to where you have y equals a times b to the power of x. Let me go ahead and shift that up. Okay, remember from the fall, we talked a lot about exponential functions. A is what we call your starting value. A lot of people like to think of it as like the y-intercept, because essentially that is the y-intercept. Like if you plug in 0 for x, when x is 0, y is just going to be equal to whatever a is, because anything raised to the power of 0 is 1. So you can think of a as the y-intercept. I know it's a little confusing because in a linear equation, we call the b, like y equals mx plus b, we say the b is the y-intercept, but this is exponential, so it's a little different. So a, anyway, is your starting value. Also, you can call it your y-intercept if you like. B, that is going to be your growth factor. Don't call it your slope because you're not going at a constant rate, and slope is only when you're talking about linear functions. So you can call it a growth factor. I like to call it a grow by number because it tells me how is my function growing or how is it decaying. So let me give you an example. If I have like y equals 2 times 3 to the power of x, let me make that an exponent. There we go. Y equals 2 times 3 to the power of x could be representing a real life situation such as money. Like you have $2 and then your amount triples every week, and x is the amount of weeks that go by, so it's like the number of cycles. So it could be weeks or days or years or hours, whatever you want to define x as, it's how much you're changing. And then y is the dependent variable. It's going to depend on whatever's happening to x. So in this case, if we're talking about money, y would be the amount of money you have. All right, there's an example right there for you. Now we're going to go ahead and talk about exponents. I want to talk about negative exponents real quick because it's important to know what is a number equal to when it's raised to the power of a negative number. So here's a quick hit. When I am talking about negative exponents, I really like to give an example, like using 3 to the power of negative 3. And let me go ahead, I know it's a little difficult on the computer, but I'm going to go ahead and make kind of like a list. So 1 second. Oops. And you can copy this down. Okay. So what I want you to think about is this following property. If I have if I have, for instance, let's start off really easy. Let's go like backwards. If I have 3 cubed, that means 3 times 3 times 3. So that's equal to 27. 3 squared is equal to 9. 3 to the power of 1 is equal to 3. 3 to the power of 0. And if you don't know this, you might want to look at the pattern that's happening. How do you get from 27 to 9? How do you get from 9 to 3? You're dividing by 3 each time. So think about the pattern. Just go ahead and divide the previous number. You can't see what I'm pointing at, but go ahead and divide the previous number 3 by 3, and you should get 1. So this kind of reinforces the rule that anything to the power of 0 is equal to 1. So we're going to keep going on with this pattern. you're still going to divide by 3. So 3 divided by 1 gave us 1. I'm sorry, 3 divided by 3 gave us 1. So then 1 divided by 3 would give us 1/3. And then 3 to the power of -2 would actually equal 1/9, because you're dividing by 3 again. And 3 to the power of -3 would be 1/27. So you might notice how like the denominator in all these fractions, when you have a negative exponent, is equal to the number that we got when we raised 3 to the power of the positive version of that. So let me explain. 3 to the power of -3 is 1/27. Do you see how 3 to the power of +3 is just 27? So really all you're doing is you're taking that that exponent and you're basically putting it underneath the 1, and then you're making it positive. So you could write it like that. Like 3 to the power of -3 is also equal to 1/3 to the power of +3, which is 1/27. Okay, so let me give you another example with 7 to the power of -3. So 7 to the power of -3 is going to be equal to 1/7 to the power of +3. Ooh. Okay. You can write it like that, and then you can also just go ahead and write what is 7 to the power of +3. Okay, well, let's think. 7 times 7 is 49, and then 49 times another 7. That would be 350 minus 7. I think that's 343. Ooh, let me check. 7 times 7 times 7. Yeah, 343. Okay, 343 is going to be your denominator, so you're going to say it's 1/343. Please go ahead and pause this video at this time and practice using the questions 9 through 12. While you're doing it, I'm also going to pause the video and do it myself, so when you come back, you will see the answer key. So go ahead and pause and do it on your own. Okay, so you should have your answers for 9 through 12. We're going to go ahead and check those now. 5 to the power of -2 is 1/5 to the power of +2, which is just 1/25. So this one's tricky. -6 to the power of -3. You're going to end up with 1/6 to the power of +3. So you're still multiplying -6 times itself 3 times. Remember, a negative times a negative is a positive, but then times a third negative is going to give you a negative. So you actually end up with a -1/216. All right, 1/3. Oh, this one's tricky too. 1/3 to the power of -4. Remember, it's all going to go underneath the 1 in the denominator. So it's going to be 1/1/3 to the power of +4. Now, 1/3 times 1/3 times 1/3, oh goodness, is going to equal 81. And if you want to go ahead and do that by hand and check the work, you can, but I'm not going to go that far into it. And then number 12, you already know the answer from the example, would be 1/343. Okay, I'm going to pause this video and start a new video because I have a 15-minute time limit. So we'll pick up from where we left off on example y = 3 to the power of x.